Hello, and welcome to the Fresh Air Show. What is up, guys, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Fresh Air Show.
Hello!
Well, last month I distinctly remember announcing that every month or so it's gonna have some sort of weird, chaotic theme. And wouldn't you know it, we've got potentially a fake headline, but it's still equally alarming. So, what's the chaotic theme that's taken over July's headlines? Meth gators.
Marvin?
Apparently, police warn that flushing drugs could create hyper-aggressive alligators.
Oh, you said meth gators. It sounded like you said math gators. Like
Yeah, like, this gators are
mathematics.
gators are getting intelligent.
I don't know if that's better or worse than what we're getting.
So,
I have to say, I've always wondered, is there actually any truth to alligators living in the sewers? Or is that just superstition?
there
And
are
they're
a number of accounts. There's even a few videos that show alligators like in sewers. Like, there's that one where it's like a guy and he's looking for like a sort of sewer drain, and he sees it sort of hissing in the dark, like.
Yeah, I thought of that precisely when you said it. But it seems just like an outward attachment rather than a proper sewer or anything.
Well, you need to remember that sewer drains in America are like 3 feet long, and yeah, if you're in a tropical climate and you need to get out of the heat, I guess alligators have their priorities sorted out.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, how have you guys been since the last podcast?
I have been well. Not much going on, and college is done and all that, so it's mostly just loafing about and trying to fill the hours.
Cool.
That nice space between college and work. I remember those days. That was not.
Yeah.
That's right.
So yeah, for those of you curious about all of that, it's like we've talked about last time in the podcast. Every month has this year will apparently have some sort of strange, chaotic theme. Obviously, last month, and mind you, it's still going. The racial
Issues.
yeah. However, I love black people as much as the next person, and hopefully that next person likes them too. So, one thing which I think is a really good change is, you'll, the two of you will know, once the lockdown ends, I'll probably be taking you to Disneyland Paris.
Hopefully.
Yeah. And this isn't exclusively Disneyland Paris, but it's still Disneyland related. Splash Mountain, an infamous ride at Disneyland which has recently gone through quite an amazing transformation in terms of concept. For those of you who don't know, Splash Mountain is basically the only place you'll ever see characters from Song of the South. And so, yeah, it's a log flume ride where you're gonna get soaked, and now, with people wanting justice for people of other races, Disney has announced that they're now going to push away all the Song of the South characters and replace them with a theme that of the Princess and the Frog. This is the greatest possible change they could make to that ride.
Yeah, because it was very well known that things like Song of the South were, although a product of their time, it was a time where racism was rampant and pretty much accepted.
Mm.
And the fact that they've transformed it into Princess and the Frog, which not only fits thematically, but also features a person of color in a good and natural light, is like, it's a good move. It's a power move.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, I'm actually a little jealous. I actually want to see this new Bayou themed log flume ride with Tiana, Naveen, and so on. So,
You can imagine Ray singing along as you float along.
yes. So yeah, that's one of the many positive changes that have happened. However, off topic. In terms of the lockdown, I
Mm-hmm.
I have experienced one of the strangest events in quite a while.
Oh, yeah? Do tell.
Okay, so I was having a shower one morning, and once I was fully dressed, my mum uh, came up to me and said, Daniel, is this one of your Nintendo Switch game cartridges? And I get a good look, and yeah, it is a Nintendo Switch cartridge. Now, because I'm the only person in our house who has one, I decided to have a look and see what this was about.
Okay.
And I look at the cartridge, and it's for Mario Kart 8.
Mm.
Oh,
I don't have Mario Kart 8. I never bought it.
that's interesting. Did you have people over?
At some point, I think so, because Mum stated it was found in the plant pot in their bedroom. I don't know how, I don't know when, where, or why.
A plant pot? No.
Yeah.
Maybe a piranha plant popped out one night and left it there and then left.
Yeah, I must say I'm a beast at piranha plant in Smash Brothers. So yeah, if any of you have lost a cartridge for Mario Kart 8, I found it. So that gave me an opportunity to
I do keep it.
well, until I figure out who it's from, that's still going to be in the air. So yeah, it worked perfectly well in my Switch. I managed to play through it. I've got no complaints. So yeah, that's out there.
As I said earlier, loafing about trying to fill my hours, which recently has become baking.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. I have been making little scones the past few days, which is
Nice.
a very quick and easy recipe. It takes like half an hour to do altogether. And my family rather likes them. So that's a plus.
I know a recipe that's quicker.
Oh, yeah?
Pickle in a cup.
I sincerely hope that's a reference to something and not something you actually do.
Chowder.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I've also been helping out my gran with her project. For some older viewers, you might know that she's been writing a series of books about our local theatre history.
Oh.
She's primarily been using me as a sounding board, to make sure sentences read out loud flow, and occasionally helping as tech support, as well as helping design her book covers, and more recently, like a little split sleeve case thing for the collection altogether.
Wow.
Cool.
She's quite excited.
Wish I was doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, which reminds me, a friend of my mum, he writes stories, and she basically suggested, hey, you two could work together. You could illustrate for this guy, and I do admit his illustrations do look similar to mine, and I do admire him because somehow he has the exact same spelling mistakes that I make. So, which somehow, uh, he. I'm not sure if he has posted these books publicly, but it's out there. So,
Cool.
yeah.
Cool. A while ago, I actually did finished my first book. I started a 5-book series, and I finished the first book, published it on Kindle. It's not there now because, unfortunately, it didn't seem to get as much out there as I would have liked, and not many people got to read it. But it was good. It was a good bit of fun writing a book and making the story flow and stuff like that. So it's a good thing to do.
Now, for this podcast, I'm kind of making sure we have enough time to talk about our the different subjects I wanted to bring up. The lockdown has introduced some interesting new concepts to people. One of them being Skype calling schooling sessions.
Yeah, I've been doing Zoom for college, or I was doing Zoom while college was still active.
So, yeah, there is some. There is something about this. Like, you. Essentially, it's basically homeschooling, but you're still interacting with students if you're even allowed. Nobody gets physically bullied, so. Yeah. So it had me thinking, what characters in our school years, like physical people, what characters in our schools have stood out to us? So, I'm going to immediately start it off by talking about this one guy who I've known since my primary school classes. Now, for the sake of this, identity, I'm going to be renaming him to Marvin. Now, Marvin was a bit of he was a bit of an odd character.
Was he a Martian? I'm sorry.
No.
I was thinking that. I was thinking to myself, no hang through it. I won't make that joke.
In fact, he actually looked a bit more like a monkey. He had like a shaved head. He had like a bit of a squashed face, and he had large ears. So,
oh, poor child.
Which I've got nothing against. I'm just giving you a mental picture, I guess. So Marvin, I remember quite a number of instances that happened with him. One time, which I got really annoyed with him at one point, was we had this guy in from Lego, and he was displaying like these Connect Lego robotic things. Basically, they look a bit like Lego Johnny 5 from Short Circuit.
Yeah.
And because we were learning about robotics at the time, and he basically came in and taught us how to program a robot's movement.
You lucky person. I wish I had lessons like that at my primary school, but go ahead.
So we were all split into groups of 6, and we were all given one Johnny 5, essentially, and we were given a set of instructions on a sheet of paper and a computer which would help program Johnny 5's movement. And so they placed the sheet of paper of instructions in front of me, and I was really reading through it because this is complicated stuff. And so I was like reading through it, trying to analyze everything, like, okay, this one makes it go forward, this one makes it turn to the right. Because basically, they tasked us to make this robot go forward, spin on the spot, and go the rest of the way. In like this little box that it was being displayed in.
Mm.
And so we were all taking turns reading the instructions, and Marvin was at the laptop. So at some point we hear, you've got 2 minutes remaining, students. Make sure your robot dances pretty well. And so Marvin hogs the laptop to himself and he just copies and pastes the exact same commands over and over again, as if to say, oh god, we didn't do anything, let's just done. And so I was like, I don't think you should be doing that. That's not what it says in the instructions. And so when the time finally came for us to display our Johnny 5, we saw some of the other students, robots, doing like all these complex dances. A lot of them were doing them perfectly. Some were even doing much more complicated movements. And when it finally came for us to program to show off what our robot could do, we set it in the box and we set the commands. All right, here we go. And it just moved like a centimeter, then another centimeter, then another centimeter, then another centimeter, until it stopped. All because Marvin hogged the laptop to himself. I actually was seriously trying to figure this stuff out, and he just copied and pasted the exact same commands over and over. Like, give us a chance. This is a team effort.
There's always that one person, isn't there? I guess. Marvin!
Trust me, there are quite a number of stories involving Marvin, which we might bring up in the future. So what about you, Dudley? Any people in your schools that have stood out to you?
Well, I was actually thinking this week about one, so it's quite coincidental, actually. That again, it's going to be another sob story, but here we go. So we had a French teacher in year 7 in secondary school, and I'll just refer to her as the French teacher. And she terrified me.
Oh,
I was like, I'm the sort of person who back then was intent on doing my homework, but I was making sure it was done. But I was also the sort of person who left it to the last minute because I didn't enjoy doing it, if you know what I mean.
You know, Dudley, I sort of did the same thing. Like, I often calculate when my homework's due in and often do it on, like, the night before I need to hand it in. Like, yeah, I've given myself enough free time, let's get this over with.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you're like when you're in school, isn't it, as well? Like, So, but sometimes I'd start it and then realise I couldn't understand one bit, and so I'd come in with it half done or stuff like that. And I was in a group, there were 6 others who clearly couldn't be bothered, so they were, like, getting told off. And then somehow in her eyes, I was grouped into that category. She was telling all of us off at the same time. And one time I found out I was supposed... But one time, so fair enough, that makes sense, I guess. But one time I had some homework. I didn't know I had it until the day before, because I missed a lesson. I didn't chase him up on it. So the next day, I had no idea what I was supposed to do. So I pretty much copied it, like word for word, because that's what I thought you had to do. And basically, this is why I'm not going to name it, but like she kind of sat next to me in front of the whole class saying, oh, where's the second half of it and stuff like that. And I'm sat there literally, never had this experience any other time, literally trembling as I turned the page, like my hands were trembling because she is the sort of person who'd like shout if you were in trouble and stuff. And so I was kind of traumatized by that. She never actually shouted at me, but it was evident I was trembling, like not my whole body, just my hands, as I was like turning the page a little bit. And then after that, not too long after, she left, and I don't know if it was because of that or if she just left. But I was like, ugh, I never forgot because it was like, ugh.
Maybe was it like you there was like a pre-written story and you had to complete the rest?
Well, it was French, so I guess it was like answering questions and translating a paragraph or something for all I can remember. But I got told by my classmates, "Oh, just copy what it says over here." And I copied like 7 sentences when it should have been 2 pages of writing or something like that. So it was like, ugh. I don't have lots of fun memories from secondary school. Just
Rowan, what about you?
All of the interesting things are from primary school. I have 2 classmates that I clearly remember, and 1 teacher that sort of stands out, sort of that surfaced from Dudley's story. The 2 classmates I remember. For this first one, I will call him Ben.
Ben.
Ben. Ben was that child that absolutely nobody in the class liked because he was obnoxious, he was rude, and he was annoying as all get out.
I know a few Bens.
Now, I will be the first to admit that back in primary school, I was maybe not the most best child to get along with. I got rather frustrated with other people quite easily back then. I was easily annoyed by just about everyone. So I was thinking about Ben recently. I was like, was it just because I was a kid that got frustrated easily, or was he actually annoying? Then I thought more about him, and I thought to myself, yeah, he was a terrible child. Like, he was the kind of kid who, if you did a drawing, if you stepped away from your desk, he would scribble over it.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and...
and yeah, it was him. Don't question that.
Yeah, I don't question that, because remember, a little while, it was sort of at the start of the year after a holiday or something, and we were assigned our seats, and I remember sitting down, looking up, and he was sitting across from me, and I was just like,
Jesus.
No. And I wanted to bring it up to the teacher and be like, can I be moved? But I wouldn't be able to come up with a legitimate reason for that. So him actually scribbling over my drawing, that is something he actually did to me. Yeah. Him scribbling over it was actually reason enough, because it was something that I was working for quite a long time on.
God.
And it was a nice picture of, like, sort of Chinese lady sitting under a cherry tree. It was sort of a recreation of a book cover that I was reading.
Right.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, that's good. I'm going to show my teacher, because I really liked that teacher. And then I came back to get it, and there was just green pen scribbled all over it.
Oh, God. That's just painful.
I have to ask, was justice dealt? Did the teacher find out?
Yes, I was like, someone scribbled over it, and although I didn't see, I have a feeling who. And she was like, Ben, did you do this? And he was like, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Just no shame at all. And she was just like, you shouldn't do that. She worked very hard on that. And as a child does, I was just sitting there smiling like,
Yeah.
You know, as a kid, you just love watching other kids get into trouble. Especially if it was you that got them into trouble.
Yeah.
So, you started that story by saying there were a couple of students like that. Was there a second one specifically?
Yeah, before we get to that, let me just finish Ben's story off with a rather satisfying note. In our school, there was something called the worry box. It was a little box that you could slip notes into, where it was like...
so you could basically tell teachers your problems?
Yeah, basically, like if you were being bullied, or if there was something going on in a class that you didn't quite explain.
Right.
And I, of course, put in a note about Ben, because he was just being a terror. And you had, once the faculty got a hold of the notes, they would sort of call you in to talk about it. And I went to the room to go to, and there were a few other kids there from my class, and the teacher was like, "Oh, what is it that's worrying you kids?" And we all just said, "Ben." Everyone was there for Ben. And I was like, "Oh, good, so it's not just me."
Nice.
At the end of the year, he did get moved to another school. I'm not sure if there was maybe home things or if it was just his general terrorness that had him kicked out or something.
Jeez.
Ultimately, he did.
And
move
when you
to
stop
Wales.
being such a dirty hack, get out the bloody school and don't come back.
Yeah, basically, everyone was happy to see the back of him. But there was another kid, as Dudley mentioned. He wasn't quite as bad. He was more so just odd.
Was he called Bill? Sorry.
Yeah, let's go with
Bill
that.
and
His name was Bill.
Ben.
Let's go with that. His name was Bill, and he was kind of a weird kid. He was sort of small and a little stocky, and you could tell that he was the kind of kid who wanted to be the hard man. And he sort of act like he'd sort of strut around. He'd sort of just get up in other people's faces and be like, "Ah."
Like a little chihuahua.
Yep, basically.
Short in stature, but big on brute
Person.
personality. Yeah.
What I remember him mostly for was one time we were all lining up outside the school waiting to be let in.
Yep.
And Bill was running around sort of ramming himself into kids yelling, "Quick attack!"
Jesus Christ.
I know. He was just ramming into them. Quick attack! Boom! Quick attack! Boom!
I can't lie. That is a move from Pokemon. So my first thought is it has something to do with that there. But like,
yeah, I have a feeling that was the case. But I think it was a big thing like around that time. Looking back on it, it's funny, but at the time, he was just a little ways away. It's like, "What are you doing? Please stop."
yeah.
He also had the habit of looking me in the eye and calling me down. So, yeah.
Why?
That was attempt at, like, making fun of me, I guess, because putting a D at the front of someone's name kind of makes it sound like they're a stupid person, you know, like, they're down.
Right.
So, yeah, that was also something he was known for. Weird kid.
Which one would you say was the worst of the two? The first one, I imagine. Yeah.
Because Bill was just kind of a weird kid. I'm pretty sure he grew out of it eventually. Ben took great joy in what he did. He would do terrible things, and he would do it with a grin.
What a bunch of flubberduffers. You're listening to The Fresh Air Show. Well, for those of you who have been living under a rock, I think we should come out and blatantly say that all three of us are currently single.
Yep.
Yep, I'm proud of it.
Well, if you dig into that. So,
Your number's down below.
until the day that eventually is no longer the case, we still have our fictional love interests. So, I thought it would be an interesting experience to bring up our fictional crushes or love interests and just compare them and see what everyone else thinks of them.
It's embarrassing ourselves and each other.
Yeah.
It'll basically be the equivalent of a slumber party. So, now, to start off, I'm going to immediately go with Queen Tyranny from Duck Dodgers.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, I remember her. She's pretty.
Yeah, good looker. She has that sort of caring, not caring attitude. And oh gosh, when she sings that blues song, it's like, whoo boy.
Mama told me.
Yep, that one.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, in case some people don't know who she is she the one who's the queen of Marvin the Martian?
Yep.
I'm assuming. Yeah. I thought so.
She's
Okay.
really tall with like long white hair and very elegant looking.
Yeah.
So I can see where they're coming from in that front.
Yeah, I think the theme with my attractions is if I find you attractive and have a certain talent or personality that I can relate to, I'm like, yep, you're going on my love interest list. So, yeah. What about you, Dudley?
See, when it comes to fictional crushes, I don't have a lot, but I will say I do have an answer, but I've got to build up to it. I will say I have had it where there's a lot of many different characters who have certain traits that I like, and then when I look back on them, I realise that they have them. Take for instance, recently, just to come up with an idea, if it's a female character who acts tough and like they're cool, they act cool, but it turns out they also have a caring side. I find that something to admire. Something like that. Like they're strong, but they're also sweethearted. Something like that. But from a looks perspective, I did bring this up in some of my YouTube videos. But there's a character called Skylar from Pokemon.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know, it's just something about the combination of someone wearing blue and having red hair, because I have an attraction to red hair. Not people don't have to have red hair, but it is something I quite like. So,
There's just something about that particular combination of red and blue.
Yeah, exactly. Because blue's my favourite colour anyway, so that's just nice. But Skylar's more from a looks department, because I don't know, like I'm not dissing on her character or anything like that, but like in the games she wasn't anything like special, and then I saw her in the anime and she looked kind of cute. I'll say it outright.
Yeah.
But whereas live action fictional characters, like I guess there's a couple of nice characters in Harry Potter here and there and things like that. But yeah.
Oh, if there was any one person from Harry Potter I would have loved to hang out with, it would definitely be Luna Lovegood.
Yeah, she seems like an interesting sort.
Yeah, quirky. She is fascinated by animals and the unknown. Again, that voice. It's just so... Yeah, pretty much.
I have to say, it's interesting because the actress, I don't know her name, who plays Luna, you know how you had Miley Cyrus started off as kid stuff and now she goes kind of, so we say, overboard with the outfits and the music and stuff these days, if you know what I mean, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Like, the one who plays Luna is similar in that regard. Like, some of the stuff she works on now is quite in that sort of territory. Nothing against it, because I haven't really seen it, but, I mean, maybe people like that sort of thing, I did just think of one more, actually, that if I had to choose a celebrity crush, I like Karen Gillan from Doctor Who. She's really nice.
Yeah. Yeah, we've talked about her quite a number of times before, and apparently I worked with her once in a dream I had.
Oh, yeah.
So what about you, Rowan? Any characters spring to mind?
You know, the funny thing is, well, most girls my age back then would, be like, oh my god, I love him, he's so cute. I didn't actually experience that very much. Like, I loved cartoons and stuff, but I was really more involved in the story than anything else.
I see.
I liked those sort of things. So I didn't often get crushes, but I guess I had more fondnesses for certain characters, like Wolverine from X-Men Evolution specifically. I always had a special fondness for. I don't know why. I guess I just like the gruff, soft sort, because he's sort of softer in that version of X-Men, because This time, all the other X-Men are like teenagers, so he's more taking care of them than he is like colleagues. So I guess in that particular instance, I did have a special fondness for him because he's like cool uncle sort of character.
It sounds a bit like the opposite of what I was describing. How they have angst, but they're also caring. You know, like I was saying, like it's like I mean, obviously, like I said, I can't think of many fictional characters I was attracted to, but there are aspects from them that I relate to, that I like, as you were saying, maybe. But
well, I do have quite a few more. This next one might seem like a bit of a strange one, but I feel like as time passes, I'm sure someone else will feel the same way. But Stephanie from Lazytown. There's something about her. She's
bright and happy.
Yeah, she's the voice of reason. She can sing, she can dance, she's physically fit. I mean, what more can you ask for?
Yeah.
So
it's one of those things that's funny and kind of strange on the surface, but when you actually stop to think about it on like a personality perspective, it makes a lot more sense. Because like on the surface with Lazytown, it's like, what, Lazytown, the pink-haired chick that's all bouncy? Weirdo. But then you actually stop and think about it. She's active, she's fun, she's smart. That's a legit reason to like somebody.
Did you ever wind up watching Lazytown as well, Ryan?
Once or twice back in the day.
Were you the sort of person who was into Sporticus?
Not really. I don't think I watched it often enough to actually develop any connection to anything. It was only like a few episodes if it was on the television at the time.
I'm sure there's at least some people out there who, for some reason, have that attraction to Sporticus.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, the mustache, the Icelandic heritage. I'm sure it's out there somewhere.
Probably.
I know that this is slightly going back to what I was saying. I know, but like I know there's a lot of people. Well, I heard talk that like Maid Marian from Robin Hood was really popular with people, and I take it to be because she has such a nice personality. Like I was saying, that she has that trait going for her. Like, not the fact that she's a fox, but because she's got the nice personality.
It's foxy.
And the fact that they plan out their future together while they're beating up all the bad guys, there's just something hilarious about that.
But it's like you're saying about Stephanie from Lazytown. Like, there's something about fictional characters which is a bit more inviting than in real life, which could be a sad truth. But I mean, you know, you feel like you'd get on with fictional characters because they're so nice. You see, so that also helps.
Yeah. Who else have I been interested in? I think in terms of Disney characters, a popular love interest of mine was Princess Jasmine from Aladdin. Yeah, there's definitely some good character there and a good looker, so yes.
I'm trying to think of any more from Disney specifically. Because I can't say many of the princesses appealed to me necessarily. Like, maybe some off the side characters somewhere here and there. Maybe I'm missing. I don't know. I can't think off the top of my head. But
Rowan, anyone from Disney catch your eye?
Gaston.
Not Gaston. No.
Unlikely. Actually, I'm actually trying to think hard in this one because surely I had a crush on one of them at some point.
I did just think of one character that I quite liked. But Misa from Hotel Transylvania. Like,
was she one of the werewolves?
no, she's Dracula's daughter.
Mavis.
That's Mavis.
Is it?
Yes.
Yes, Mavis.
It's been a while since I watched it.
Oh, she would not be happy if you had a crush on her but couldn't remember her name. That would not well.
I thought I remembered. Why am I thinking Misa? Where's that from? Misa.
I think it's a type of dish from Japan, tiramisu.
That's not what I was saying.
Also, that's miso you're thinking of there.
Yeah, I'm just making puns. So what is it about Mavis that's inviting?
Me.
She just has this, like, happy nature. Like, she's inquisitive. She wants to explore the world and see everything. And she's just a generally nice character. Even though she's 118. But, it's like,
yeah. She's looking pretty good for a 18-year-old. So, anyone else, Ren?
I guess I kind of like Prince Philip from Sleeping Beauty, I guess.
Ooh, okay. What is it about him?
That's all. He has a nice singing voice, and I guess he had maybe a bit more personality than most of the princes from that era.
Yeah. Whereas Prince Charming, or whoever from Snow White, he just jumps over the wall and tries to get close to you. Like, yeah, no thanks.
Back up.
Yeah.
That's all I can really think of. I didn't experience fictional attraction that much.
nah.
I've got two more, and they're both Disney characters. As a child, I found Shanti from the Jungle Book quite attractive.
Oh.
Yeah, there's in both Jungle Book 1 and 2, it's the looks and the talent that I find admirable, and in the original Jungle Book she just has that sort of siren singing voice. It just sort of lures you in. Similar to Mowgli in a way. So I was a child, alright?
We're talking about crushes we've had, so there's no reason we couldn't say we liked someone at the right age, you know? If you're a 10-year-old liking a 10-year-old, it's not so bad. If we're just
yeah. So now I feel weird talking about me and this young Indian girl. So now I'm going to move on to someone more my age.
If it makes you feel any better, my mum still has a fondness for Jimbo from Treasure Island. My mum. Or Treasure Planet, rather. That's a little odd to behold.
Yeah. I think Jim's I think Jim's on a lot of girls' lists in terms of male attractions. So, however, if there was any one character who I wish I could have been with, it would have to be Elsa from Frozen. Because Elsa, based on just appearance, she was like, for the first time in a long time, she just blew me away with her first appearance. Like, as soon as I saw that promotional poster with what her character was like, I was like, oh my god, she is beautiful. So, and when Let It Go came out, I was like, I'm hooked. So, yeah, white hair, a lot relatable personality, amazing talents. Yeah, Elsa's at the top of my list.
Understandable. Very pretty.
Yeah.
I guess I just want to quickly clarify. I've only recently started thinking about if there were characters I was attracted to. You know, it was more a case of looking back over the years and thinking, you know what, I did kind of like them actually in that regard and stuff like that. But as I was growing up, nah, not particularly. But not as I was doing it.
Yeah. Throughout my life, I've always sort of gone with when I know I'm ready, I'll be ready. So I've sort of never really dated anyone since till college basically, because throughout my high school years I was like, we're all still technically young here. You can still act like you're young. You don't need to act like you're an adult already, you know?
Yeah.
So that's kind of why I never really had a girlfriend throughout high school, because I was always under the impression like, this seems too early. I once I know this is what I'm gonna do, I'll do it. But until then, I'll be ready to call.
Chugging along.
So yeah.
I would say I haven't actually been in a relationship yet. Like, but I don't regret that. Like, I'm just living life as I'm just trying to enjoy life how I can, And like, if the situation comes along, it comes along. It happens naturally.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna force myself to find a relationship. As I've been saying to my cousins and stuff at this moment in time, if I don't get in a relationship, I'm not going to let it bother me. Just as long as you're enjoying life to your heart's content, then, I'm not opposed to being in a relationship. As I was saying earlier, I was like, proud I've been single, but no, I mean it like that. So, yeah.
Same here.
So, yeah, that we're almost out of time for this podcast, so what chaotic theme will be brought up in August?
Alien.
Still holding out for the aliens arriving.
I thought Rowan said helium. I was like, are we doing an entirely helium episode next August?
Yeah, but that would be funny if we all started taking helium and started talking in ridiculous ways.
Lefty? Lefty's here? Where is he?
What? No, I'm not here. I'm not here. You do know that sulfur hexafluoride exists?
That's when it goes way deeper, doesn't it?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that.
Unfortunately, it's a little toxic, but you have to admit that the effect is still hilarious. So, yeah. Yeah, that's basically it for this podcast. We've had to delay the month's headlines just to get these themes in, but I felt like we've talked about enough stuff already.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, hopefully we'll see you all next month for whatever else lies ahead. Anything you want to close out with before we go?
This was a fun episode.
Yeah, it was good. But just, if you see an alligator coming down the street shouting times tables, run for the hills. Okay?
Yeah. So, yeah. So, yep, that's just about it. We'll see you guys next time. Time to say goodbye, guys.
Yeah, see you later.
Bye. You have been listening to The Fresh Air Show. Leave a comment down below or email Fresh Powder. See you next month for a whole new slew of content. I'm talking really fast right now because it's what they do at the end of the radio shows.